More than 2,700 people were killed at the World Trade Center on 9/11. More than 2,000 were injured. But the casualties did not end that day. More than 40,000 people worked for months at the site amid toxic air and debris. A new report out today in the medical journal Lancet followed the health of New York City firefighters and tried to answer a question that has haunted all Ground Zero workers since. Did their heroism after 9/11 lead to a higher risk of cancer? Dr. John LaPook has the story.
Right after the towers fell, fireman Ray Pfeiffer arrived with Engine 40. He joined the search for his fallen buddies.
What we saw down there, no human should ever have to see.
He worked in a choking dust cloud, a brew of pulverized cement and known carcinogens such as asbestos, benzene, PCBs, and dioxin.
We're in toxic soup. You know, who knows what you were breathing in because it was so thick.
Pfeiffer worked on the pile for 7 months. 9 years later,
the doctor said to me, he says, Ray, it's stage 4 cancer.
The diagnosis was kidney cancer that had spread to his bones. Doctors removed part of his leg and hip and a kidney. He's not the only first responder who became ill.
There's a lot of guys that are sick on this job. A lot of guys. You know, a lot of guys got cancer.
The Lancet Medical Journal report is the first comprehensive cancer study of New York City firefighters after 9/11. This federally funded study shows firefighters working at the site had 10% more cancers than the general public and 19% more cancers than firemen not involved. In all, there were 263 cancers among almost 9,000 exposed firefighters.
This represents about up to 38 extra cancers in the 7 years that we studied.
Dr. David Prezant is Chief Medical Officer of New York City's Fire Department and lead study author.
Would you say that the strength of this association with cancer is mild, moderate, or strong?
I would say it's a moderately strong association. The biggest surprise was the cancer was increased, but that increase is real, and now we need to address it.
But some cancer experts insist the cancers in 38 extra patients could have been by chance, and it's too early to know for sure if 9/11 exposure is the cause.
I would draw really no definitive conclusion from it at this point.
Dr. Al Nugent studies the link between environment and cancer.
One wouldn't expect to see an elevation in solid tumors so early. 7 years is very short, and usually it takes decades. Normally, we want to see elevations in specific cancers. You don't expect something to elevate multiple or all cancers.
Still, many families of first responders are convinced their loved one's exposure after 9/11 caused their cancer. Firefighter John McNamara's oncologist told his family it may have caused his colon cancer.
We started talking to the doctor who just couldn't believe the aggressiveness of the cancer, and I think that's when we realized, oh my God, this is what it's from.
McNamara, who was healthy on 9/11, worked the pile for 500 hours. In 2009, he died at age 44.
Everything for this kid. That's all he wanted was another day with Jack. He was so proud of him.
We found this kid. He was only on 3 months.
Pfeiffer believes his cancer, which has come back, is related to his work on the pile. Even so, he'd do it again because he was searching for his buddies.
Good friend of mine, his son, asked me, Ray, are we ever going to find my dad? This is what this kid said to me. And I think we gave a lot of closure to a lot of families.
A federal report released in July concluded there's not enough evidence the toxic dust that workers were exposed to caused cancer. That means for now, first responders are not eligible for federal money to treat their cancer or compensate their families.
But John, does today's report change that? Will they be compensated now?
Scott, that remains to be seen. It can be very hard to prove that something causes cancer. Think about cigarettes and lung cancer. It took more than 20 studies, millions of people over decades before the Surgeon General in the 60s said there's a link. It was only 10 years ago we had the World Trade Center disaster, and this study that we're talking about today is certainly going to continue.
Thank you, John. So important to remember the astonishing fact that 343 members of the Fire Department of New York died on 9/11. 343. 60 New York City and Port Authority police officers were lost as well, all in the rescue effort. Many others who worked there in the days that followed now suffer from diseases that are positively linked to the dust and the smoke, including respiratory and gastric illnesses.